In Lake Oswego, an affluent suburb of Portland, Oregon, the lives of Emma Grace Anderson, née Collins, and Robert James Anderson appeared to be the epitome of the American dream. Robert, 42, worked as a senior financial consultant at Morgan Stanley's Portland office, while Emma, 38, had established herself as a successful realtor at Northwest Premier Realty on Macadam Avenue. The couple met in 2005 at the Arlington Club Charity Gala, where Robert, then a rising star in financial consulting, was immediately captivated by Emma's charm and ambition. They married on June 12, 2006, at the Portland Golf Club, followed by a honeymoon in the Maldives. Their social circle included Portland's elite, with regular appearances at charity events and membership at the prestigious Oswego Lake Country Club. Their daily routine was meticulously structured. Robert would leave their house at 7:30 a.m. in his 2020 BMW 740i, arriving at his downtown office by 8:15 a.m. Emma's schedule was more flexible, dividing her time between the realty office and showing properties to high-end clients. Their combined annual income of $425,000 afforded them a lifestyle that many envied. Security camera footage from their home, later recovered by investigators, showed a pattern of separate lives under one roof. Robert spent most evenings in his home office, analyzing market trends and managing client portfolios until late hours. Between January and September 2020, credit card statements revealed they had dined together at restaurants only 4 times, compared to 23 times during the same period in 2019. Emma's cell phone records indicated increasingly frequent calls to her sister, Sarah Collins, in Seattle, often lasting over an hour. In these conversations, later subpoenaed by the prosecution, Emma expressed growing feelings of isolation and disconnection from her husband. "The house feels more like a museum than a home," she wrote in a text message to Sarah on March 15, 2020. The couple maintained separate checking accounts at U.S. Bank, though they shared an investment portfolio worth $1.3 million. Financial records showed Robert's systematic approach to wealth building, with regular monthly investments and careful tax planning. Emma's spending patterns began to change subtly in mid-2020, with increased purchases at high-end boutiques and a new gym membership at the Portland Athletic Club. Their neighbors at Lake Oswego, particularly James and Margaret Wilson at 2845 Lakeview Drive, later testified that the Andersons appeared to be the perfect couple during neighborhood gatherings. They hosted regular summer barbecues and attended community events together, always presenting a united front. The Wilsons specifically recalled the Labor Day party of 2020, where Robert proudly announced Emma's record-breaking real estate sales for the quarter, while Emma stood by his side, smiling for photographs that would later become evidence in a criminal investigation. Robert's colleagues at Morgan Stanley described him as methodical and detail-oriented. His client portfolio had grown from $50 million in 2006 to over $200 million by 2020. He maintained a strict workout routine at the Multnomah Athletic Club, where security logs showed he visited every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 a.m. to 7:15 a.m. His dedication to physical fitness was matched by his attention to financial details, maintaining spreadsheets tracking every household expense and investment. Emma's professional life at Northwest Premier Realty was equally successful. Records showed she closed 32 properties in 2019, with an average sale price of $875,000. Her commission earnings for that year totaled $248,000, making her one of the top producers in the Portland metropolitan area. Her colleagues noted her particular skill in marketing luxury properties, with a specialty in Lake Oswego and West Lynn neighborhoods. The Andersons' home security system, installed by ADT in 2018, included 8 cameras with motion sensors and 24/7 recording capability. This system would later provide law enforcement with over 2,000 hours of footage documenting the couple's daily routines and interactions in the months leading up to October 2020. The footage revealed a household operating with mechanical precision, but lacking emotional connection. Security logs showed Robert and Emma often went days without meaningful interaction, despite sharing the same 3,800 square foot living space. Tax returns from 2015 to 2020 demonstrated the couple's financial success, with their joint income growing from $285,000 to $425,000 over that period. They maintained a lifestyle that included annual vacations to luxury destinations, though travel records showed they had begun taking separate trips by 2019, with Robert attending financial conferences, while Emma visited spa resorts with friends. On April 15, 2020, a new face appeared at Northwest Premier Realty that would change everything. Alex Foster walked into the office with credentials from Arizona and a story that seemed too good to be true. Standing 6 feet 2 inches with striking blue eyes and a distinctive Russian accent, he caught everyone's attention, especially Emma Anderson's. What no one knew then was that Alex Foster wasn't even his real name. Born Alexander Kozlov in St. Petersburg, Russia, he had carefully crafted a new identity after arriving in the United States in 2010. His U.S. citizenship, obtained in 2015, was legitimate, but almost everything else about him was a carefully constructed lie. The security cameras at Northwest Premier Realty silently recorded the beginning of what would become a fatal attraction. At first, it was just innocent encounters in the break room, quick conversations by the coffee machine. But soon, these moments turned into something more. Cell phone records would later tell the story through numbers. 12 text messages in April grew to 147 by June. Foster played his part perfectly. While Emma's husband Robert spent his evenings analyzing market trends, Foster was listening to Emma's dreams and frustrations over wine at Andina Restaurant in the Pearl District. On June 8, 2020, their first dinner together lasted until 10:45 p.m. Emma told Robert she was showing a property to clients from Seattle. It was the first of many lies to come. The summer party on the Portland Spirit Riverboat on July 17th marked a turning point. Under the stars, with the city lights reflecting off the Willamette River, Foster and Emma shared their first kiss. Sarah Martinez, another realtor, captured what seemed like an innocent photo of them talking on the deck. Later, this image would become crucial evidence in a criminal investigation. By August, their meetings had moved to room 114 at the Blue Moon Motel on Highway 43. Foster always paid in cash, always used the name James Smith, but the motel's security cameras didn't lie. Between August 3rd and September 28th, they met there 8 times, always in the afternoon, always following the same pattern. While Emma was falling deeper into what she thought was love, Foster was executing a carefully planned scheme. He made 4 visits to Robert's gym, studying his routine. His apartment at 1215 Northwest 21st Avenue, later discovered by police, contained detailed notes about Robert's daily schedule and photographs of the Andersons' house. His laptop revealed darker intentions, searches for brake failure accidents and untraceable poisons, dated back to his very first week at the realty office. Emma's diary entries from this period reveal a woman torn between guilt and passion. With Alex, I feel alive again. The guilt is consuming, but I can't remember the last time I felt this complete, she wrote on September 15, 2020. She didn't know that while she was writing these words, Foster was already plotting her husband's death. Meanwhile, Emma's behavior at home changed dramatically. Security footage from the Andersons' house showed her spending more time in the garden, away from the camera's microphones, having hushed phone conversations. Her credit card statements revealed a woman preparing for a new chapter in her life. $3,842 spent at Victoria's Secret and high-end boutiques between July and September. Emma believed she had found her second chance at happiness, but she was actually walking into an elaborate trap. Foster's true identity and intentions would remain hidden until it was too late. His every move calculated to perfection in a deadly game where love was just another weapon in his arsenal. By the end of September 2020, Robert Anderson began noticing subtle changes in his wife's behavior. The first red flag was the new perfume, Chanel No. 5, which Emma had never worn in their 15 years of marriage. Security footage from their home would later show her checking her phone up to 47 times a day, always with a particular smile that became known to investigators as the Foster effect. On September 28, 2020, everything changed. Robert's secretary, Linda Thompson, placed a manila envelope on his desk at Morgan Stanley. Inside were 8 photographs showing Emma and Alex Foster entering room 114 at the Blue Moon Motel. The anonymous letter accompanying the photos was typed on plain white paper. Your wife is having an affair with her coworker. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2:30 p.m., room 114. Police would later trace the envelope to Sarah Martinez, a realtor who had become concerned about the affair's increasingly obvious nature. Instead of confronting Emma immediately, Robert approached the situation like he would a complex financial analysis. He purchased a small leather-bound notebook from Powell's Books on September 29th, marking the beginning of what he titled Project Truth. His detailed notes documented everything: Emma's departures and arrivals, mileage on her car, credit card charges, and phone usage patterns. October brought more revelations. Robert hired private investigator Michael O'Brien, who provided detailed surveillance reports. These reports confirmed Emma's regular meetings with Foster at the Blue Moon Motel. O'Brien's photographs showed them entering at 2:30 p.m. and leaving approximately 2 hours later, like clockwork. The investigator also uncovered Foster's suspicious background, including the falsified Arizona real estate credentials. Robert's notebook entries became increasingly detailed. October 5th. Emma left at 2:15 p.m. Car odometer, 24,567. Returned 5:10 p.m. Odometer, 24,598. New lipstick shade. October 8th. Dinner alone again. She's texting under the table. Smiled 12 times at her phone. October 12th. Changed life insurance policy. Agent seemed surprised by the increase to $900,000. Emma doesn't know. What Robert didn't know was that he wasn't the only one keeping records. Foster had installed spyware on Emma's phone, monitoring her conversations with her husband. Every time Robert added an entry to his notebook, Foster was calculating his next move. Bank records would later show Foster making 4 separate withdrawals of $2,000 each from various ATMs around Portland between October 1st and October 15th. On October 16th, Robert met with divorce attorney Catherine Walsh at her downtown Portland office. The meeting, scheduled in his calendar as Investment Strategy Review, lasted 2 hours. Walsh's notes from that meeting revealed Robert's methodical approach to documenting the affair and his desire for maximum compensation in the divorce settlement. She advised him to wait until he had gathered more evidence before filing. That same evening, security cameras at U.S. Bank captured Foster withdrawing another $5,000 and purchasing a prepaid phone from a convenience store on Burnside Street. Cell tower data would later show this phone being used near Robert's regular commute route several times in the following week. Robert's final notebook entry on October 22nd read, "Meeting with Walsh tomorrow at 2 p.m. Time to end this charade. Found receipts for Chanel No. 5 in Emma's purse, $350. Charged from Blue Moon Motel on joint credit card. She's getting careless. Or doesn't care anymore." What Robert didn't write in his notebook was his decision to increase his life insurance policy to $900,000. The insurance agent, Thomas Mackenzie, later testified about Robert's unusual insistence on completing the paperwork quickly. The policy was updated on October 15th, just 8 days before his fatal accident. Meanwhile, Emma remained unaware of her husband's investigation. Home security footage from October 22nd showed her humming while preparing dinner, checking her phone repeatedly and smiling at Foster's messages. That evening, she and Robert ate their final meal together in silence, both harboring secrets that would soon collide with devastating consequences. Robert Anderson left his office at Morgan Stanley at 6:45 p.m., later than usual. Security cameras captured him walking to his 2020 BMW 740i in the parking garage, his leather notebook visible in his briefcase. At 7:12 p.m., traffic cameras on Highway 43 picked up Robert's BMW heading towards Lake Oswego. The rain had intensified, reducing visibility on the winding Riverside Road. Cell phone records show his last call was to divorce attorney Catherine Walsh at 7:14 p.m., lasting 38 seconds. The call ended abruptly as he approached the sharpest curve of West Shore Drive. What happened next was captured by a nearby home security camera. At 7:18 p.m., Robert's BMW suddenly accelerated on the curve, showing no signs of braking. The vehicle crashed through the guardrail at approximately 65 miles per hour and plunged 85 feet into the Willamette River. First responders, arriving at 7:26 p.m., found no skid marks on the wet pavement. Portland police officers Sarah Chen and Marcus Rodriguez arrived at 2847 Lakeview Drive at 8:05 p.m. to notify Emma of her husband's death. Home security footage captured Emma's reaction, a performance that Detective Maria Sullivan would later describe as Oscar-worthy, yet somehow genuine. Emma collapsed onto the foyer's marble floor, her cries echoing through the empty house. The recovery operation lasted through the night. The BMW was pulled from the river at 11:42 p.m. Robert's body was found still strapped in the driver's seat, his briefcase floating nearby. The leather notebook inside, though water-damaged, would later provide crucial evidence for investigators. Automotive forensics expert Dr. James Patterson made a disturbing discovery during his preliminary examination. The brake lines had been carefully cut, with signs of recent tampering. Traces of brake fluid were found on the garage floor of the Andersons' home, suggesting the sabotage occurred there. Security footage showed a figure in dark clothing near the BMW at 2:13 a.m. on October 23rd, but the image was too grainy for positive identification. While divers were still searching the river, Emma made two significant phone calls. The first, at 9:17 p.m., was to her sister Sarah Collins, lasting 23 minutes. The second, at 10:02 p.m., was to Alex Foster, lasting just 42 seconds. Cell tower data placed Foster near the Blue Moon Motel during this call. The next morning, Emma contacted Pinnacle Insurance Group regarding Robert's life insurance policy. The agent, Thomas Mackenzie, noted her composure as unusual for a new widow. The policy, increased to $900,000 just 8 days before Robert's death, raised immediate red flags with the insurance company's fraud department. Security footage from October 24th showed Foster entering Northwest Premier Realty at 7:45 a.m., an hour before anyone else. He accessed Emma's computer briefly before leaving at 8:03 a.m. That same morning, Emma appeared at the police station, dressed in black, to provide her statement. Officer Rodriguez noted she wore Chanel number 5. The insurance company processed the claim with unexpected speed, depositing $900,000 into Emma's account on November 15, 2020. Bank records show she transferred $450,000 to a new account the same day. What she didn't know was that Detective Maria Sullivan had already begun connecting the dots between Robert's accident and Foster's suspicious background. Weather records confirmed light rain on October 23rd, but not enough to cause a professional driver to lose control. Robert's gym records showed he had completed defensive driving courses, and his BMW's maintenance records were impeccable. The vehicle's black box, recovered from the river, revealed no attempt to brake before the crash. Emma's performance of grief continued flawlessly. She arranged an elaborate funeral at Riverview Cemetery, attended by Portland's business elite. Foster watched from a distance, photographed by surveillance teams who had already placed him under investigation. As Emma threw a rose onto Robert's casket, bank records show Foster booking a one-way ticket to Cancun, Mexico, using his prepaid phone. Detective Maria Sullivan sat at her desk in Portland Police Bureau's Central Precinct on November 20, 2020, staring at the evidence board that had consumed her life for the past month. After 20 years in homicide, her instincts were rarely wrong. The death of Robert Anderson wasn't just another tragic accident, it was murder. Sullivan's investigation began with Dr. Patterson's automotive forensics report. The brake lines hadn't just failed, they'd been cut with surgical precision. The tool marks matched those from a specialized brake line cutter, available at any auto parts store. Security footage showed Foster purchasing an identical tool from AutoZone on October 21st, paying cash. The detective's breakthrough came when she discovered Alex Foster's true identity. Alexander Kozlov had a history in Arizona, not as a successful realtor, but as a person of interest in 3 separate cases involving wealthy widows who lost significant sums of money between 2016 and 2019. Each case followed a similar pattern: seduction, mysterious death of a spouse, and disappearance with the insurance money. "Follow the money," Sullivan muttered, reviewing bank records. The numbers told a compelling story. October 15th, Robert's life insurance increased to $900,000. October 23rd, Robert's death. November 15th, insurance payout received November 15th. $450,000 transferred to a new account. November 16th, Foster withdraws $25,000 in cash. November 17th, Foster Book's flight to Cancun's cell phone records painted an even clearer picture. In the week before Robert's death, Foster and Emma exchanged 312 text messages. The content, recovered through a court order, revealed their plan. Foster, October 20th. Soon we'll be free. Trust me. Emma, October 21st. I'm scared. What if something goes wrong? Foster, October 22nd. Everything's arranged. Just act normal. The surveillance footage from the Andersons' home proved crucial. At 2:13 a.m. on October 23rd, cameras captured a figure matching Foster's height and build near Robert's BMW. Enhanced footage showed the person wearing Nike Air Max shoes, the same model Foster purchased on October 19th at Washington Square Mall. Detective Sullivan interviewed Emma's sister, Sarah Collins, on November 25th. Sarah revealed Emma's growing unhappiness in her marriage, but also mentioned something curious. Emma had asked about international banking regulations just days before Robert's death. Sullivan immediately flagged all accounts associated with both Emma and Foster. The investigation uncovered Foster's elaborate preparation. He had rented a storage unit under a false name containing fake passports, $50,000 in cash, a laptop with searches for countries without U.S. extradition, detailed notes about Robert's daily routine. Thomas Mackenzie, the insurance agent, provided crucial testimony. He remembered Emma's unusual calm when discussing the policy increase. She didn't ask a single question about the terms, he stated. It was as if she already knew everything. The Blue Moon Motel's security footage revealed another vital piece. Foster meeting with a known forger on October 18th. The forger, caught in an unrelated case, confirmed creating new identities for Foster. He described Foster's chilling words. By next month, I'll be a wealthy man living in a country with no extradition treaty. Detective Sullivan's most damning evidence came from Robert's water-damaged notebook, recovered from his briefcase. The pages, carefully dried by forensics, documented his growing suspicion of the affair and his plans to file for divorce. The last entry, dated October 22nd, mentioned his scheduled meeting with divorce attorney Catherine Walsh, a meeting he would never attend. On December 1st, Sullivan received the final piece of the puzzle. Arizona authorities confirmed 3 cold cases involving Alexander Kozlov, 2016, Janet Myers, widow, lost $300,000 2017, Patricia Henderson, widow, lost $500,000 2019, Susan Chen, widow, lost $250,000. Each woman reported the same story: charming Russian immigrant, whirlwind romance, tragic accident, missing money. None had enough evidence for prosecution. But together, they established a pattern that couldn't be ignored. As Sullivan compiled her case, she noted how Foster had perfected his technique. Previous cases lacked physical evidence. But this time he had grown careless, perhaps too confident in his abilities. The detective smiled grimly as she signed the arrest warrants. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Emma's Lake Oswego home as she approached her safe, dreams of a new life filling her head. Her manicured fingers trembled as she entered the combination, the same numbers she'd watched Robert use countless times before. The heavy door swung open to reveal nothing. Just a white envelope containing 7 words that shattered her world. Sorry, baby. Business is business. Love, Alex. $450,000 had vanished along with the man she thought she loved, the man she had killed for. Emma collapsed onto the imported Italian marble floor, her mind racing through every moment, every promise, every lie. The expensive Chanel number. 5 perfume he had given her now felt like a brand of shame. The photographs on the walls seemed to mock her. Smiling faces from happier times. Robert's gentle eyes looked down at her from their wedding photo, the truth in them now unbearable. The weight of betrayal and guilt proved too heavy to bear. Within hours, Emma Anderson walked into the Portland Police Bureau's central precinct, her designer heels clicking against the cold floor like a countdown to confession. Detective Maria Sullivan watched from behind her desk as the carefully constructed facade crumbled. Emma's mascara-stained tears left black trails down her cheeks as she recounted every detail. The late-night meetings, the careful planning, the moment she learned about the brake lines. With each word, the sophisticated real estate agent disappeared, revealing a broken woman who had traded a lifetime of love for a beautiful lie. The courtroom fell silent as the prosecutor revealed Alex Foster's true identity. Emma sat motionless in the defendant's chair, her face growing paler with each revelation. Alexander Kozlov. The name sparked recognition in newspaper headlines across 3 states. Janet Myers in Phoenix, whose husband died in a hiking accident. Patricia Henderson in Tucson, who lost her spouse to an apparent home invasion. Susan Chen in Flagstaff, whose partner perished in a mysterious boating accident. Different names, same story. Wealthy women seduced, wealthy husbands dead, insurance money gone. Emma wasn't his first mark, just his most successful one. The evidence mounted like a tower of cards. Bank records showed systematic withdrawals. Hotel receipts traced his movements across state lines. Burner phones connected dots between victims. Emma listened as her love story transformed into a case study in criminal methodology. Each piece of evidence stripped away another layer of denial, until only the harsh truth remained. The judge's voice echoed through the courthouse as he delivered the sentence. 15 years for conspiracy to commit murder. Emma stood quietly, her designer dress replaced by prison orange, her perfectly styled hair now hanging limp around her shoulders. As the bailiff led her away, she caught a glimpse of Robert's parents in the gallery. Their eyes held no hatred, only an overwhelming sadness that seemed to fill the entire courtroom. The remaining insurance money found a purpose that would have made Robert proud. The Andersons established the Robert Anderson Foundation for fraud victims, turning tragedy into hope for others caught in webs of deception. Within its first year, the foundation helped identify 3 other potential victims of romance scams, possibly preventing further tragedies. Meanwhile, Alexander Kozlov became a ghost. Interpol alerts flashed his face across borders. Airport security cameras scanned millions of faces. Credit card transactions were flagged from Macau to Morocco. But the man who had staged so many perfect disappearances had saved his masterpiece for last. Some claimed to spot him in Monte Carlo's casinos, others swore they saw him in Bangkok's bustling streets. Each lead evaporated like morning mist, leaving frustrated investigators with nothing but questions. Detective Maria Sullivan kept her promise to seek justice, but she also did something unexpected. She visited Emma in prison. Month after month, she watched the transformation. Gone was the polished real estate agent with perfect makeup and practiced smiles. In her place sat a woman learning to live with her choices, finding a strange kind of freedom in confinement. The prison routine became Emma's penance. She volunteered in the library, helped other inmates with their GED studies, wrote letters of apology to Robert's family that she could never bring herself to send. Each day was another step away from the woman who had been so easily seduced by dreams of passion and luxury. During their last visit, Sullivan finally asked the question that had haunted her throughout the investigation. Was the passion worth it? Worth destroying everything you had? Emma stared at her hands, no longer manicured, now rough from prison work. A bitter smile crossed her face as she looked up. You know what's worse than prison, detective? It's waking up every morning and realizing you let a beautiful lie murder true love. Robert wasn't just my husband. He was my best friend, my partner, my safe harbor. And I traded all that for a fantasy spun by a professional liar.